Loud House. On the Wild Review, and welcome to day 8 of 25 Wild Christmas Review Days, the cartoon specials. Today I'm going to talk about The Loud House. It is also going to be our final Nickelodeon cartoon before we leave Nickelodeon land and travel to a different channel. And truthfully, I wanted to talk about the Loud House Christmas specials over any other Nickelodeon Christmas special, mainly because I think no matter your stance on where you sit with The Loud House, I think we can all agree that it is the show that managed to escape termination. There is a reputation that Nickelodeon has sadly given themselves over the last decade of being a television network. If you are a cartoon and you do not meet the same rating standards that a SpongeBob episode would get, you will either be canceled without any announcement, or you will be quietly sent to the Nicktoons network and remain there until you just fade out of existence. There's probably a better way to phrase it. There may even be a name for this sort of treatment that some Nicktoons get, but it is true that that happens. That happened to Harvey Beaks, that happened to the last season of The Fairly Odd Parents, and that's happened to a few Nicktoons over the course of time. It may have even happened to the Casagrandes, which is the Loud House spin-off that lasted for 3 seasons, but then just went absolutely nowhere. Although, I don't know, I didn't really keep up with the Casagrandes like I did with The Loud House. I really don't keep up with The Loud House anymore either. But The Loud House, I think, is the show that we can all agree that managed to escape the hand of the Grim Reaper, as a metaphor. This show blew up. It became a hit. Everybody liked it. And if I have it right, I believe they're on their 8th season. I have a feeling I heard that the show will be coming to an end at some point, but this show blew up so much that it essentially has its own franchise now. I already mentioned that they have a spin-off. They also have a movie that went straight to Netflix. The Casagrandes also has a Netflix movie. Just recently, as of the recording of this, they had another movie, a spy movie that came out. And I think it'd also be a sin not to mention the live-action adaptation of this series that for some reason is airing alongside the animated show. But this is the same network that, you have to remember, also airs 3 versions of SpongeBob back-to-back with each other. So, all questions are just thrown out the window. Yeah, the live-action Loud House, that's something. I've only ever seen 1 episode of the show itself. I did see the Christmas movie. I will not be talking about the Christmas movie here. I'll give you a quick little summary though. I thought it was okay. Like, it's a traditional Loud House story that you can expect. There are moments that can be a little cringy, but if I gotta give this live action adaptation any credit, it's that they did a fantastic job. Even to this day, as it's still going on, they did a great job casting these people in these roles. They not only look, but also feel like they are the live-action version of these characters. One of them specifically is. Brian Stefanik voices the dad in the show and is the dad on the live-action show. I think that's really cool. I know they did a Halloween movie. I didn't see the Halloween movie. I have no intentions on seeing it. Like I said, I only saw 1 episode of The Really Loud House. Not interested in seeing any more. It was a little hard to get through the first one. Not everything's a winner, but I'm still very impressed with the casting. That will never change my mind. But we have The Loud House being spoken about today. It's not the longest running Nicktoons at the moment. In like 2 years, it'll be 10 years since the show aired. But I gotta give it credit. I don't recall any other show apart from SpongeBob or The Fairly Odd Parents or Rugrats lasting as long as it did on the network, without any reboots, any continuations, any gaps from being canceled. This show aired, and it's just been running ever since. And that's why I want to talk about them. I think it's interesting. Also, I thought the show was cute. I thought it was cute. But we're going to talk about the Christmas episodes now. The Loud House is a Nicktoon still currently airing on Nickelodeon ever since it first premiered in 2016. It focuses on the Loud family, specifically the middle child, 11-year-old Lincoln Loud, who tries to survive living with his 10 sisters. Lincoln goes through the typical troubles an 11-year-old faces in both school and in his family life. As the series goes on, though, we start to focus more on the sisters' lives and the family as a whole, as they continue to grow and go on adventures together. In 2016, the first Christmas special, 11 Louds A-Leaping, premiered and saw Lincoln trying to get his sled back from his neighbor, Mr. Grouse, after it flies into his yard. Lincoln also tries to uncover where Mr. Grouse's grouchiness comes from, especially around the holidays. It isn't until finding out the truth when Lincoln and the entire family get together to get Mr. Grouse in the spirit. Then, in 2020, Seasons Cheatings and A Flipmas Carol premiered. Seasons Cheatings sees Lincoln trying to swap names with another sister for their family gift exchange, as he is determined to get a Rip Hardcore backpack for Christmas. In A Flipmas Carol, it's the Loud House's version of A Christmas Carol where Flip is visited by three ghosts on Christmas Eve night. Finally, in 2023, 'Twas the Fight Before Christmas premiered and saw the Loud kids trying to reconnect Len Sr. with his brother Lance after a falling out occurred during the family's White Elephant gift exchange, causing the two families to be separated every Christmas. Now, I've already talked about the Loud House as a whole. It was one of the later Wild Review episodes I did. I think it was in Season 5 when I talked about the series. It was still new and fresh at the time, and I thought of giving it a check out because I had heard a lot of great things about it. So I gave it a watch, and it instantly became a favorite of mine, so I knew I had to talk about it on the Wild Review, especially with the reputation I have with talking about other Nickelodeon stuff, and especially since that was a time where there was really no faith in Nickelodeon ever being redeemed. This essentially was the golden ticket Nickelodeon needed to be resurrected from potentially being a dead channel. So there's that episode when it first came out, but then I also did a rewild about the Loud House, kind of talking about it nowadays. I don't remember if that was last year or the year before, but I'm pretty sure my opinion is still going to stay the same. I really like the concept of the Loud House. I think it was a cute show when it first started. Now that we've had it around for a while, I think they're starting to run out of ideas. I haven't kept up with it lately. Some of the more recent episodes that I've seen, and this is going back to like months before, definitely before the recent spy movie that they've had. Just from what I've seen, I feel like that little spark that the show had originally, I feel like that's just kind of gone now. You can tell there was definitely a change within the show's story, and the one biggest hint with that is the characters are growing up, which is something you typically don't see in cartoons. I think it was season 5 or 6, they aged all the characters up 1 year, so Lincoln was no longer in the 5th grade. I think he was going to middle school with his friends, so there were big changes coming on. Like Lori went to college, and Lily slowly starts to talk, and she's growing up also. And like I said also in the brief summary of the series, we no longer are just focusing on Lincoln as the main character. Now there are episodes that deal with one of the sisters or multiple sisters, or maybe even the parents. I think there's even a few episodes that focus on Clyde solely, who's Lincoln's best friend in the show. There may have even been 1 or 2 episodes that focus on recurring characters that aren't really in the show that much, but we're just focusing on them. So, they are experimenting with a bunch of different characters in the show itself, but me personally, I feel like the show had already had its 5 minutes of fame. Now it's just kind of chilling in the waves. I'm making a lot of metaphors today, but you know what I mean. Hopefully you know what I mean. It's getting old. As for the Christmas specials, because that is what we are here to discuss, the first one, 11 Louds A-Leaping. First off, very clever title. I really liked the special. I thought it was a very good Christmas special, great first Christmas special for a show like this. I think the obvious thing that I have to bring up is the parents, because this is the first time we see their face. Spoiler. This is a Season 2 episode, and I could have sworn it was the start of Season 2, but I guess it was really the 3rd. But essentially for the entire first season of the show, the parents are not shown from the neck up. Their faces were always hidden, and I'm not entirely sure why that was ever done. I never really looked up why the faces were hidden. Maybe I should look it up after I record, and I'll just put it down here if I find the answer. But I actually thought that was pretty interesting. It gave off an early Fairly Odd Parents vibe when Fairly Odd Parents was on Oh Yeah Cartoons. It also kind of gave off a little Charlie Brown vibe because we never saw the parents in the Peanuts specials. And being that the show was mainly focusing on Lincoln at that time and maybe a few of the sisters, like it made sense. Like the parents were just recurring characters. I mean, they were a main part of the show, but it was really just about Lincoln dealing with his sisters. I know for a fact when I originally talked about the Loud House, I did bring this up. And I'm pretty sure I said it was a good idea that they did show the faces of the parents. And I stand by that because just like how I feel that the concept of the Loud House is, you know, it's starting to get a little old. It's getting old. I think if they kept up with the shtick of hiding the parents' faces, that definitely would have gotten old after a while. I feel like having their faces be shown in the Christmas special not only made it feel more special, but also, especially with it being at the start of season 2, I guess that's one of the biggest changes that you could say that was made for the show early on. Like they finally established, okay, this is the world we have. Let's start including some other characters and let's show the parents' faces. And part of me wants to say that maybe a reason why they showed the faces also was because they were going to involve the parents more in stories. Everything else in that special, it was nice. The song is very catchy. It felt like a very wholesome Christmas special. And it definitely felt like a classic, oddly enough. Like, despite it being a new show at the time, I feel like 11 Louds A-Leaping perfectly fits in with the lineup of other Nicktoon Christmas specials, like Christmas Who and The Fright Before Christmas and the Rugrats stuff. Like, it fit, oddly enough, and that's really cool. And comparing it to other Christmas specials from other Nicktoons that may or may not be classics, like Sanjay and Craig. Do you remember the Christmas special in Sanjay and Craig? Do you even know which Sanjay and Craig is? Did they even have a Christmas special? The Loud House being such a new Nicktoon, you would think that the Christmas special would be forgettable, but it's not. It's very memorable, and it fits. It just fits, you know? That's all I can really say about it. Like, it just fits as a Nickelodeon Christmas special. It also really only focused on Lincoln at the time. I mean, the other sisters were doing their thing. They each had their own little subplot going on, but we really didn't focus on it that much, and I feel that's okay, because, again, at the time it really wasn't about all of them. It was more just about Lincoln. So I think it fit pretty perfectly. That's really all I could say about 11 Louds A-Leaping. I guess the final thing I could say about it is that it is my only favorite Loud House Christmas special, because the others I'm not a big fan of. I feel like there may be another Christmas special that this show has, but I don't remember it. I think there's some Christmas elements to it. I actually think it takes place the day after Christmas, but does that mean it's a Christmas special then? Well, the other Christmas specials the Loud House has, we have Seasons Cheatings and a Flipmas Carol, which is two 11-minute episodes, because the Loud House, it airs as a 30-minute TV show. And these two stories, I should say, aren't connected. They're just two different Christmas episodes. So Seasons Cheatings, yeah, that sees Lincoln in his family gift exchange. Originally, he wanted Lily to be the one to get him the gift because Lily's so small, she really can't make that decision for herself, so her parents would get her a gift, and Lincoln wants this backpack, so he's like, okay, let me have Lily choose me, so he puts a piece of tape on the bottom of the bag, which will force Lily to take it because it's the last one, and then the parents could get the gift for her to give to Lincoln, but Lily's old now. She's old enough to make her own decisions, so that foils Lincoln's plans, and now he's got to go from sister to sister to change up the whole thing because he just wants this backpack. Sometimes Lincoln sucks. Lincoln went from being a cool 11-year-old character that I could see relating to other 11-year-olds, but then there are just some moments where, I mean, it's not even just him, but like sometimes the family just sucks. This is one of my arguments about the Loud House. I feel like that these characters are very self-centered in the later episodes. Like, it's just all about them. Like, it can't be about anybody else. It's gotta be all about them. This is also a complaint I have with the Christmas movie, but I don't mind it that much because it does fall in line with the Loud House show. And, I mean, you can even argue that this falls in line with the Loud House show. Like, this is just Lincoln's character. And it fits well, but at the same time, it can make your blood boil and kind of piss you off at the same time while watching. Lincoln is just, he's very stubborn and just wants the backpack. And yes, he learns his lesson at the very end. That's how all these episodes go. They learn their lesson, which, okay, fine, that's a good lesson learned, but it's just very hard to watch sometimes. Like, he's dealing with his youngest sister also, who's just, like, very unaware of what's really happening, but at the same time aware enough to where it's innocent. Man with the plan. That's what he calls himself. The second half of that episode is a Flipmas Carol. I really don't have much to say on it. It's just the Loud House Christmas Carol. The only thing that really sticks out to me, the only notable thing that I thought was interesting was when Flip tries to outrun the Ghost of Christmas Future. I haven't seen something like that be done in a Christmas Carol adaptation yet. Yeah. I really don't have much to say about it. I mean, I guess it's interesting that this show, which really didn't need a Christmas Carol, has a Christmas Carol adaptation, and yet SpongeBob doesn't. I mean, that was just an average episode. These really didn't feel like specials in comparison to 11 Louds A-Leaping. It's just an ordinary Loud House episode that just so happened to be Christmas themed. There's nothing special about that. It's getting old. Finally, and most recently, with it only airing last year, we have The Fight Before... Twas The Fight Before Christmas. We get to see the extended Loud family, Lynn's brother and the cousins. To my knowledge, they've never been on the show since. I think this is the first time that we are seeing them. That one was fine also. I was getting a little tired of the constant bickering Lynn and Lance were going through. Very sweet that the kids work together to try to have their family be one again. I did enjoy that aspect. I thought that was very cool. And again, fit very well with the Loud House premise. I just didn't feel anything with this episode. I just felt like things were happening. Like, brothers were arguing, the kids were trying to plan. One of the cousins just starts spinning out of control because she was thinking. That was it. It felt like a very bland 24 minutes for me, honestly. I kind of forgot half of the characters were there. Like, there was one scene I saw Lori in, and I was just like, oh, Lori's in this episode. And then another scene like, oh, Lenny's in this episode. They're not really doing anything. A lot of things about the Loud House later on in the series feel very weird. The fact that they can communicate with animals, which also happens in this episode. They don't communicate with the wolf, but like the wolf shows emotions like the wolf is a human. They do that a couple of times. There was one episode where the mom, Rita, was communicating with a squirrel. They also have a robot part of the family now. I guess I should mention that. The robot wasn't in this episode, though. The song at the end of this one, it was also fine. They could sing. You know, that's been established. That's all I have to say on that. The winner in this is 11 Louds A-Leaping. The others I really don't care about. It's the first one I like watching the most, I think. Now, I believe along with SpongeBob, if you remember I told you there was like this weird clip show Christmas episode SpongeBob did. The same thing happened with The Loud House. I specifically think that one aired maybe just a few years ago, but they did something very similar. The animation was very cheap also. Lincoln is awkwardly and creepily staring at the screen the entire time as he's retelling things that we've already seen in the show. I'm not talking about that one either. So that's all I gotta say about that. That's it with The Loud House. Those are my thoughts with The Loud House Christmas episodes. If you're gonna watch any, just watch the first one. That wasn't loud enough. Come on. And with that, we're getting out of here. We're getting out of the slime zone. We gotta Whoa, hold on. We got out of there, now we're in Checkered World. Because guess where we're going next? We're going to Cartoon Network Land. Does this make me seem cool? Like, are you cringing? Am I cool to you? We're done with the Nickelodeon stuff. Now we're gonna jump to Cartoon Network, and we're gonna talk about some of those Christmas specials, because there are some specials on that network I think are deserving of being spoken about. I want to talk about them, because I like these specials. Which one am I starting off with first? We gotta come back tomorrow and find out. You go away, I'll be right here, and I'll wait for you, and we'll talk about it then. Thanks for watching The Wild Review. I'm The Wild Reviewer, and you just saw me review a thing.